mom came into the room and she's like, look at my phone. And then I couldn't see it, so I had to look at mine. I'm like, oh.
I can't bet against Tom Brady. I have the Bucks winning 31-27 and Tom Brady going to his 10th championship.
Yeah, and I really think the Clippers' chance to win the championship was last year. And they were up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets.
Chris Paul is one of the most underrated players of all time. He's been the best player wherever he goes, and that includes with the Rockets.
You said you can't bet against Tom Brady, and as a Cowboys fan and what I just did last weekend, I am not going to bet against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. I mean, that's all I can really say. There's two of the top 5 players in the league, and they are very, very good.
Hello, I'm Taylor Hearn, and you listen to the Outsiders' Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our MLB Opinions of the Week. I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by the man that I am sure is sad about this news, but it finally happened. Juan Soto signed with the team, and I don't know, do you want to start with this one, Austin, or how do you want to do this?
I'm not really all that mad about it. I kind of anticipated it. People act like the Yankees offered very, very close to the same deal, but the extra year for $5 million less is significantly less money per year. But this contract's going to pay Juan Soto until he's 41. He's going to be paid $51 million per year, and this contract is going to make him more money than Ohtani, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, and the thing with Ohtani is he was a great pitcher and a great hitter, and Juan Soto is a great hitter. That's his main. He is good in the field, and I think you show that with the Yankees.
He's capable in the field. Yeah. He does have blunders. His arm is better than people expect, but he does make mistakes, and he's going to be a DH at one point in his career.
Yeah, and something I found interesting about this deal as well is it has an opt-out after year 5.
It does, but also if he stays through it, it can be increased all the way to $805 million. So he could make $805 million in 15 years.
Yeah, it's just incredible, the amount of money, because this is for a hitter. I get the Ohtani. I'm not saying the Juan Soto deal is bad. It's just, for me, that is a lot of money.
In sports, people get mad when GMs overpay. But there's a lot of times where there is a necessary overpay. The Mets just made the NLCS. Francisco Lindor looks like one of the best players in baseball. Juan Soto, the same. They're trying to win their first title since 1986, and they're trying to make it back to the World Series for the first time since 2015. While I do think this is an overpay, and this frees up the Yankees to make other moves, this for the Mets is a reasonable overpay in my opinion, because I think Juan Soto is just that good. I think he's a top 5 hitter in baseball, easily, and his impact on the game is immense. There's so many times that the Yankees relied on him and him alone in some games, him or Stanton, and then him, Stanton, or Judge, depending on the game. And I was extremely, extremely grateful to watch him play for the Yankees, and I'm not mad at all that he is gone. There are Yankee fans that are like, I hate him now. Da, 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 da. I'm not that. There's times where I'm like that with a player, or when I get soured on a player because of the way they left. Soto told the Yankees when they lost the World Series, like, hey, I may not return. Like, this may be it. And I respect that. He wasn't trying to create a narrative where he was definitely going to stay with the Yankees and, oh, shucks, the Mets offered me more money, so I'm going to go there. No, he kept it real, and I can respect that. It's a lot of money. I don't blame him for doing it. And this isn't like Cody Bellinger or Blake Snell last year, where they had to wait until the season started, basically, to sign a contract, or until spring training started to sign a contract. He's signing this in early December, and I'm we'll eventually talk about the Mets as a team and how their roster. We'll see what happens with Pete Alonso and some of the other starting pitchers. I know they added Clay Holmes as well from the Yankees, so they made a lot of moves. But the Yankees have to respond with something because without Soto, we don't make the World Series, and I hope that Cashman knows that. And that doesn't mean that we can't make a World Series without Soto, but it does mean that moves have to be made now.
Yeah, I am intrigued with what the Yankees doing. And in terms of the Mets, yeah, it's a necessary overpay, and it's an overpay that doesn't matter to Steve Cohen. This is, I want to say, maybe he's in his 5th year as owner. Because it happened, I want to say. But that's another thing is he kind of took a year off from paying after he'd spent a lot of money for Scherzer.
I don't know
and
if it's
Verlander.
a year off of paying more than because he still had to pay the contract.
Yeah, or
He was
didn't
more
add
just.
the-
It was more of a retool year. Hey, we're going to be bad this year. We're going to be back next year because he was still paying those contracts for DeGrom. Because, or I guess I didn't even realize this. DeGrom, when his contract ends with the Rangers, the Mets start paying him again. Did you know that?
Huh. No, I did not know that.
Yeah, he'll be paid until his 40s by the Mets.
Is it because they deferred, or
I think so. I just know that I checked Spot Track not that long ago and saw the Mets still had payments for DeGrom, but they're not being made until his contract ends or until he gets 40 or something like that. It's weird.
yeah, huh? But yeah, that's Steve Cohen. Money doesn't really matter to him. And another thing that I think is key, and about something we talked about as well, no deferred payments on this contract. We thought about the Mets were a team we talked about. I can definitely see them using this, and they didn't. They just said we're going to pay him straight up, no deferred payments. And it is a great move for the Mets. I also like the idea that Jeff Pearlman had a TikTok about it, where he talked about kind of the Mets always like competing with the Yankees and losing out to them. And in this term, the Mets beat out the Yankees. So there is that subway line rivalry. I don't know if you feel about that rivalry, but I am interested to see how the Mets are viewed now with New York over the next few years. Especially this has been a change under Steve Cohen of he's like, I'm gonna pay and I want them to be good again. And they weren't in the NLCS. And he's just put a lot of effort into this. And I think something positive for a Mets fan this is kind of the positives of getting a new owner who is really rich and is willing to put his money wherever.
Yeah, that's a great point. I actually found out I was wrong, but it's even crazier than I thought. So
Okay.
the Rangers stopped paying DeGrom his contract in 2027 when he's 39. The Mets pick up paying him in deferred money in 2035 when he's 47.
Dang.
And then pay him 47, 48, 49, 50. So I don't know if you've seen that before. I've never seen something like that before. That's extremely awkward to me.
Yeah, I've never seen that. And I don't understand where is this money like
It
where
says
does-
deferred on the thing. So it says status on Spot Track, and you can see why. Like if it's a signing bonus, or if it's an active contract, like he's on the team, or in this case, deferred. So he has 4 years of deferred payments, and it is roughly, we'll call it 50 million. It's a little bit more than that, but we'll call it 50. It's like 52 or something.
Yeah,
But that is weird.
Yeah, that is weird. But I'm interested to see what the Mets do. Like Juan Soto is a huge get for them. I do feel like Pete Alonso comes back. I just don't. I kind of view him as a Met because he's been with them, but I just would be shocked if he left. And so they also, I think, do need help at fielding. They just need a fielder. They have aging fielders for the Mets. But you alternate DH with Alonso and Juan Soto. So and especially the 15 years, I'm not worried about the length because Juan Soto's his best skill is hitting, and it's at an incredibly high level. So you just got to think that contract is going to age well for someone hitting like Juan Soto.
Boris and Juan Soto are extremely smart because the longer you go, the more the less money's worth. So in 15 years, the 51 million is going to be significantly less than what it is right now. So I don't believe, I guarantee you, Kevin, that he opts out. Now, whether he returns to the Mets, he may. I'm not saying he leaves the Mets. I'm saying that he opts out after 5 years, unless there's a significant injury that happens that makes him much worse off. Because if that's the case, that's why you signed the 15 million with the player opt out. There's no negative. Either you get hurt and you're playing worse and you can't figure it out, fine, I'll stay with it. But in when he's 30, if he wins an MVP and is clearly the best player in baseball besides Ohtani, then he opts out and gets more money for 10 years than what he's already gotten.
Yeah, that's a great point as well, and that's something I definitely see happening. I'm trying to remember. Albert Pujols signed like a 10-year deal, right, with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And he was like a top hitter, and like I
Well,
don't
not
see
with the
this happening.
Cardinals. Wait, did he sign with the Cardinals?
When he was playing well with the Cardinals, and then he signed that 10-year deal with the Angels. That's what I was referring to. Because he didn't sign that 10-year with the Cardinals. He signed it. He left the Cardinals and joined the Angels.
He never signed a 10-year deal with the Cardinals.
Yeah. It's with the
he signed a 7-year in 2004. He signed a 7-year, $100 million contract with St. Louis, and then when he left, he signed a 10-year, $240 million contract with the Angels.
Got it, and that was a huge contract. And then I think he was still good with the Angels. There were just complaints about that contract.
Well, he struggled. Let's just say that he had probably 1 or 2 good years with the Angels, which is why there was a lot of complaints. If you just go by WAR, he had 4.8 his first year, so he's still good. 1.6, which is barely starter level, and 3.93, and then terrible basically the entire rest of his time there. So, but I will say, when the Angels signed him, that was his age 32 season. So to go 10 years from that is a long time. So, him being 26. That's why he got 15 years.
Mm-hmm. And to me, that's where if there's something like the Albert Pujols, that's why he doesn't opt out. But if he keeps doing what he's doing, he definitely opts out. It's kind of like with the NBA, like when LeBron would have an opt out or
LeBron always signs a 2-year contract every year. It's a just 2-year contract, but it's a 1-year contract with a player option. Every time he signs a contract. That's what he did 4 straight years with the Cavs. It's what he's done every year with the Lakers, basically, besides when he signed the 4-year. I think he did sign like a 4-year extension, and he signed a 2-year extension. But a long time with the Cavs, it was 1-year player option, 1-year player option, 1-year player option. So if something bad happened and he got hurt, he's still getting paid for another year, but he does have the option to just right now leave. So, yeah, it's smart. I do think it's a little bit crazy that he's getting paid more per year than Ohtani. I do think it's a little crazy. Because while it's not like the why I say that, people are gonna be like, well, Ohtani's making $70 million a year. Well, not really, right? Because he's making $2 million, and then that $70 million is 10 years down the road. So if you do buy inflation, there's gonna be Soto's going to make more money from it because it's not deferred. I remember having this conversation before when we asked the question in a video, and if you guys haven't watched it, check it out, whether or not a lot of teams at the top or in general are going to defer. And I'm like, you can't do that with players that are like mid-level because you're making no money at the end of it, right? If you're paying a guy $10 million per year, 5 now, 5 later. Well, that 5 later is you're not really making $10 million. You're making 7.5 or 8 or 9, but it's still less money. So, I mean, think about it. We are 19 years away from Ohtani's last payment.
Yeah. And I think that is, he's not really making $70 million, but I bet that was used in the negotiations by Soto and Boris, but I'm very intrigued with what happens with the next contract because it really is every contract just the players want to go, I want more. And Juan Soto was definitely like, I want to get paid the most. That was something he was very adamant about, as you talked about with the Yankees. So I feel that's just going to keep continuing. So I'm wondering, what does the next contract look like? I don't see it topping Soto or Otani. I think they'll go, well,
Well,
those are
what do you
that's
mean by the next contract? Like, who's the next guy?
yeah, like who's the next guy is my thinking. Like I'm trying to think at free agents for
It'd
next
probably
year.
be Bobby Witt.
Oh yeah, you have Bobby Witt. I also think Vlad Guerrero. I think someone talked about like Vlad Guerrero, but it's going to be different. Like the top free agent next year, how are they going to set the market? Because this is now where the market is set. Um, but I don't see this not unless Bobby Witt's probably the best example too. Like what is his contract?
Yeah, that is a good question. I mean,
Because
really, really high. But the problem is that the Royals can't pay that.
yeah, and it's just so rare that in back-to-back years you have the best player and then you could argue second best or one of the top 3 players on the market and you just have players going after it or you have teams just shelling out record deals in back-to-back
Mhm.
years. So I do think it waits a little bit for the next year. But I am curious what happens.
Do the Mets continue to spin big this offseason? Or do you
Oh
think they're
yeah.
going to sign smaller deals? Or no, you think they're going to continue to.
I think because Steve Cohen's just a guy that has tons and tons of money, and he might start deferring payments. They're a team where we talked about debating, okay, what teams, how much is deferred payments? I view the Mets as a team that are going to defer payments. So they didn't do that with the Soto deal, which Soto may have not wanted that, but in other cases, that might happen.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
do
Uh,
you disagree? Or I know I cut you off. To me, the Mets may take years off, but or like we talked about, last year was kind of a retooling year, but they're Steve Cohen just seems like a guy that's going to pay with whatever he needs for the team to be better.
I I don't think they continue to spin big. They're going to keep making moves, like the Clay Holmes move. I don't think they make a move for like a Corbin Burns or Max Fried or an Anthony Santander or any of these other guys that I think are going to be paid a fair amount. Uh, I don't think it's worth it because if it does go bad, like it did last time the Mets spent a lot of money, it's going to be even worse than last time because you're spending so much money, right? So I don't think they're going to spend all that large sum of money. I do think they make 4 or 5 more moves, whether it's trades or otherwise. What I do find funny about these deals is that it essentially makes the players untradeable because I don't know how reasonably you could take on that contract, especially obviously a smaller team. But even if you're not, that's a rough contract just to take on because it could be a really long time before you have to stop paying him.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point, and you kind of saw that with the Mets and the Scherzer deal and Verlander. They had to eat some of that money with the Rangers. I know definitely with the Rangers, they ate some of the Scherzer money, and that's why they got better prospects. But it's if you're trading him, you're going to get a negative. It's not going to be, you're not going to get what you got because teams are going to be like, we're not paying that. You have to eat some of it. And that's going to hurt your
100%,
prospects and what you get in return.
100%. How
But yeah,
far
no.
away? I want to ask you a funny question now. How far away are we from the first $1 billion contract in net value?
Ooh. In baseball or sports?
I'd say baseball.
Okay, baseball.
We're at 765.
It's actually
Like it actually can go up to 820. I was wrong.
Yeah.
But
looking at the market. I'm going to say 5 years, which also helps me because in 5 years, Soto will most likely be opting out.
you really think he could go 10 years of $1 billion? I don't think that would happen. But I think it'd have to be a 15-year would be the first. It'd be a 15-year. Yeah. It'd have to be Bobby Witt. It'd have to be like a really young guy, came on the scene young, and is going to get paid for a very, very long time.
Yeah. I think it's closer than we think. That's why I'm saying 5.
Okay. I'll go 8. I think we're 8
8.
years away.
Okay. But yeah, no, it's definitely, it just seems like things just skyrocket and all that.
So you have it at 2029?
Yeah, 2029. Wow, that's crazy to think about.
Okay.
All right.
If we're still doing
so
this,
yeah.
we'll revisit this prediction.
Yeah, we'll revisit. But yeah, that is all I have. I'll let you close this one out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. If you guys are Mets fans, please let us know what you thought about the contract. If not, let us know how your team thinks they're going to rebound. Thank you again.